it kind of interferes with the steering angle when turning right. Hey guys, welcome back to Revolution XRC. Today we're going to look at upgrading some of the steering components on this Axial Yeti Jr. Can-Am Maverick. Now, as you may be well aware, that the steering links and steering components on the Can-Am Maverick are mostly plastic. As you can see here, these are all plastic links. There's a little bit slop to them. I've decided to upgrade some of these pieces with GPM parts for the Yeti Jr. Among them are the steering Bellcrank from GPM and these steering links from GPM as well. Now, I do have plans in the future to potentially upgrade the steering knuckles and C-hubs, but they will not be done in this part of the series. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take apart some of the parts on the chassis so we can get to the steering Bellcrank and take off the links, and so we can kind of measure all the links up and make sure they're the correct lengths. Now, you'll notice that I have a Hobbywing 1080 here. We will not discuss this in this video. This is going to be in a future video, but this is what I'll be using in the Yeti Jr. Can-Am Maverick. Alright, first things first, let's remove the parts needed to access the Bellcrank on this Yeti Jr. One more screw. Now we need to remove this in order to access that screw. Once again, I'll go over this in a future video, but that's out of scope for this part. Alright, let's take these Bellcrank pieces out. Alright, so this is the stock Bellcrank, and let's go ahead and break open the new parts. These are the parts that come with the new Bellcrank. We'll add the links later, but let's go ahead and put together the Bellcrank first. Now make sure the longer side is on the bottom. Let's see here. This longer side should be on the bottom. Nice. Right. That new Bellcrank is in there. Mod focus. Alright, well, focusing isn't great, but here, I think you can see it now. With the Bellcrank in there, we can start putting this cover back on. Do that, just want to make sure that my motor didn't move. Alright, the Bellcrank is installed, and we can now focus on the links. You can see here, very smooth and very solid, no play at all. I don't feel any play, which is good. I think with the stock plastic ones, there was a little bit more up and down play. Right now it seems nice and solid. So let's go ahead and take a look at the links. Okay, here are the parts that come with the GPM links. You notice that there's 5 links in total. There's 4 for the steering arms, and this one is for the linkage to the servo. You can tell the one with the linkage to the servo is a little bit shorter than the rest, or smaller. The actual link is smaller. The 2 with the pivot ball pins, these are the upper ones, I believe, and these are the ones that attach to the Bellcrank. Let's take care of the link to the steering servo first. Now it's going to have to match up with this link right here, where it has one end facing down and one end facing to the side. So this should be the link that we need. Let's go ahead and take that off and compare the length. Alright, so we are going to have to lengthen it a little bit and turn one of the pivot balls sideways. Here's a link that goes to the steering servo. Now, these links can actually be adjusted while they're on the rig because of the hole right there. But since I'm already here, I'm gonna try to do it before I actually put the links on the truck. Alright, that's pretty close. I can fine tune it when I get it on the truck or the rig. Alright, for the link to the servo, you'll need one of the medium-sized screws. And you also need the lock nut. Should look like this. At this point, you can put the servo back onto the chassis. And I'll put it onto my 3D printed servo mount. And I'll go over this servo mount / ESC tray in a future episode. That's out of scope for this video. Alright, clears the tray just fine. Let us put this back. Okay, now that the servo mount / ESC tray is mounted back on the rig, I can go ahead and also connect this link to the Bellcrank. And you'll need this spacer right here and the longest screw. Alright, as I was saying before my camera ran out of batteries, you'll need the longest screw and this spacer right here. So these two parts. And this is for attaching the servo link to the Bellcrank. Alright, that is now on, and we are ready to move on to these other links. Okay, now let's take a look at the links that go to the Bellcrank. Now, for those, you'll want the links that have these kind of rod ends on both ends, and we'll need to make sure that they're the correct length. And these links look just about the correct length. Of course, there's some adjustability we can do later. So I think we're good there. Before we add these to the rig, let's go ahead and remove these upper links right now. Okay, now for these upper links, you also want to make sure these are the correct length as well. Looks like what I have here is just a tad shorter, so we'll lengthen these up. Right, just about there. And do the same thing for this one. Alright, so we'll need to remove all these pivot ball screws. Gonna have to remove this too as well. Or if we could just reuse the existing ones. Take a look. Now, a little different. So let's go ahead and just remove that. Alright, so the ones that come with this are too snug. Let's see if the stock ones will actually fit. Stock ones are kind of snug, but they fit. But the thread is larger than these other ones, so I feel more confident with having these other ones, with the stock ones rather than these other ones. Yeah, these are snug too, so it doesn't matter. I would just recommend sticking with the stock pivot ball screws right here and leaving those on. The thread on these GPM ones, you can tell they're smaller than the stock ones, so these don't actually stay on that well. Alright, so we'll want the remaining screws. There's 4 medium-sized ones and 2 smaller ones. We'll want the smaller ones to go into the bell crank right there. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll get the medium size screw, or the longer of the remaining ones, for going into the knuckle right here. Alright, we'll grab this one, snap on the upper link to the existing pivot ball. Grab another medium size screw. Alright, you can see we have the links installed on this side. Suspension still cycles good. We can go ahead and move to the other side. Oops, wrong one. Select that off. The short one for the Bellcrank. Alright, we've got all the links on now. There's definitely less wobble. I can definitely feel a lot less play. There's a lot less play right there. The only thing left to do is to adjust the link lengths just to make sure that your toe is correct and put the wheels on. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. Alright, so I've got the links all adjusted, and it's definitely a lot more stable and not as wobbly as it was before, but there is a downside to this, which I think I'll need to figure out. Since these links use these rod ends that are fairly fat, it kind of interferes with the steering angle when turning right. It hits right there. So that's gotta be something I gotta fix, either by trimming off a little bit of this rod end, or seeing if there's a different kind of rod end I can use. So overall, my initial thoughts on this GPM steering link, while the links do give this a lot more stability and let's play, it does decrease your steering angle when turning to the right. It seems to be okay turning to the left for some reason. The rod end, when turning to the left, doesn't hit the interior there, but for some reason turning to the right does. So we'll have to figure that out. But I'll have to think about this a little bit, and we'll be right back when I decide what I do, whether it be modifying the rod ends or putting these stock links for that particular bell crank area. Alright, so I'm back. I was able to get more steering angle turning to the right by adjusting these links right here. Basically, I had the bell crank centered more over to this position, and I adjusted the links so that this tire was facing more to the right, and that way when it turns you'll get the steering angle that you need when it turns to the right. It's still not as much as it is turning to the left, but it's only off by a millimeter or so. So I think we're in a good spot here. So I think the steering angle is acceptable now, and definitely a lot more stable. And that's about it for the steering upgrades for this Axial Yeti Can-Am Maverick. I hope you enjoyed this part of the series. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for future updates on this Axial Yeti Jr. Can-Am Maverick. Thanks for watching.